Good morning and welcome to park number 7. Yes, I said park number 7 of 22. Can you believe we are 1 week into our theme park road trip across the United States, and today we made it to Allentown, Pennsylvania, where we are checking out Dorney Park. Dorney Park is an interesting place that I've never spent a full day at. I've always used it as a transit park, and I'm really excited to give it its full day, its full moment. And the park does have a brand new B&M dive coaster called Iron Menace that I am very excited to be checking out. I really love these newer dive coasters that are a little bit smaller, a little bit more compact. Emperor at SeaWorld San Diego is fantastic. Dr. Diabolical at Six Flags Fiesta Texas is fantastic, and I'm expecting this to also be fantastic. So yeah, without further ado, we're already in Dorney Park. Let's get the day started. After yesterday's visit to the surface of the sun in New Jersey, I am very appreciative of the cloud cover. However, today is supposed to be another hot one. We are under another heat advisory today, so we're gonna take advantage of the park when it's a little cooler, a little more overcast. We got here right at open to try and stay cool, because yesterday was just, she got really silly at some points because of how hot it was. But the heat index today is supposed to hit up to 105, but we're hoping that we can stay out of the sun for most of today. Here's a little story behind Iron Menace. I really do like that they took in the different like factory and steelworker theme of Allentown, Pennsylvania, kind of playing homage to the area. So feel free to pause and read if that's interesting to you. Steel Yard is the updated, refreshed area that Iron Menace and now Possessed are in. And I'm really digging the theming. It's really cool. It's kind of giving like a Halloween event kind of steampunky feel, but I love that it's year round. And here is the brand new, for 2024, Iron Menace. She looks beautiful. Very, very excited. All right, first ride of the day, Iron Menace. Just did our very first ride ever on Iron Menace here at Dorney Park, and it is such a fantastic coaster to add to this park. It fits in absolutely wonderfully. So, ride experience. You get some excellent airtime coming off of that first drop. It is a 95-degree drop, and I think you do feel that extra 5-degree drop, and you get whipped out of your seat. Even with those vest restraints, it was super comfortable and enjoyable up into an Immelman. And then my favorite part was probably the 0G roll. You get some really good like hang time, kind of floaty airtime upside down. That was really enjoyable. Then there's like that sideways vertical loop. It felt like kind of like a high-speed overbank turn is kind of what it felt like to me. And then the kink at the end is real. Oh my gosh. I thought like the videos were just like kind of like dramatized. You really feel it. And we even heard somebody on our row say, oh, my neck. And it is rough. I don't know what is going on in that little kink. I'm gonna try to get a video of it and put it in so you can kind of see what I'm talking about, but everyone's head just completely bashes to the side at one point during that final helix. Overall, I think Iron Menace is a fantastic addition to this park, and it shows that a little bit of theming, a little bit of storytelling, I think this is the right amount for Six Flags, kind of the direction that they're going. It really adds a lot to the coaster, into the experience overall, and I think this is a great move on on Six Flags part, and a great addition here at Dorney Park. Up next on our agenda is going to be this yellow roller coaster over here next to Iron Menace. This is Possessed. It is an Intamin inverted impulse coaster. Not many of these around left, and I think they're actually really fun, intense additions to parks, so I'm very much looking forward to getting on. And I don't think I've ever really shared much to YouTube, but most of the time I come to this park and I have not been able to fit on these trains at all. They are quite a tight fit. Since 2023, I've lost about 140 pounds, and the test seat seems to think that I'm gonna be a-okay for the ride on this one, so I'm very excited to get on Possessed. It's probably been about 10 years since I've been able to fit on, so let's go get on Possessed.
Top gates are locked. Riders, are you ready? Okay, we got an interesting group here. Okay. You guys are all clear. In the words of Katy Perry, you make us wonderful!
It was so good to get back on one of these inverted impulse coasters. That launch, and they had no countdown, so it really took me by surprise. You never know when you're gonna take off, and you just shoot right out of the station. The first twist takes you about halfway up, good airtime, good floaty moments. The reverse spike is supposed to have a holding brake on your second return up to that vertical spike. That unfortunately does not appear to be working, but some really good force, some good weightless sensation. Overall, a really fun, intense ride. It doesn't look that scary off ride, but it is quite intense. I really enjoyed it. We'll have to go back and get like a back row on it, I think later today. For lunch, we are going to come to the Iron Mill Grill and Bar. This is new for 2024, part of the new Iron Menace area, and we're gonna use our dining. Hello, you can see me in the mirror, hi. So at the Iron Mill, they did have different sandwiches, like chicken sandwich. I got the roast pork sandwich, and they also had flatbreads and salad, and then they had mac and cheese pierogies, or french fries for a side, and of course I got the pierogies, as you can see here. We're having our first Six Flags-ism of the day, my friends. They don't have any forks, and they cannot find any forks to give us. So the pierogies will be eaten with our hands, but I definitely feel bad for the people in front of us who got a salad and have no way to now eat it. Lunch was pretty good. The roast pork sandwich, I think, was out for a little bit longer. You can tell that it had been sitting for a bit, but it was still really tasty, had a lot of flavor. First time ever having broccoli on a pork sandwich, but I was here for it. A little vegetable doesn't hurt anyone. And I think it just needed a little bit more barbecue sauce. The pierogies were fantastic. And Bobby, I'm sorry if you're watching, these pierogies were better than Knoebels. Oops, sorry about it. Up next is going to be the park's Morgan Hypercoaster Steel Force. So fun fact on this one is the logo is actually borrowed from Banshee, which eventually became Mantis. So not Banshee at Kings Island. Originally Mantis, the stand-up coaster at Cedar Point, was going to be called Banshee. They got some pushback, renamed it Mantis, and then used the logo here for Steel Force. So there's your fun fact of the vlog. Steel Force has to be running the best it ever has been in all of the years that I've been coming to Dorney Park. It's running absolutely phenomenal. We rode in the back row and in the front row, and I think my take on it is for the first half of the ride before the mid-course, I'm a front row guy. You get really good airtime, kind of like floater airtime going up into the hills. Nothing too crazy, but you do really get some good positive G-forces in the valleys of those drops. It has a really, really good amount of force to it, hence the name. But in the second half, I think the back row really shines over those camelbacks. You get kind of whipped over. I don't think it's ejector airtime. It's just stronger than floater. It's really fun. It's really good. It's like Magnum, but if maybe like Magnum Jr. It's not quite as intense yet, but it is still really fun, a really good time. Plus, the humidity and temperature are absolutely crazy today, and the wind was much appreciated. Oh, and the turnaround, we have to talk about the turnaround. You take the turnaround at such high speed, it's actually insane. It is so much fun. Plus you get some amazing views of the park throughout the entire ride. Steel Force, I think it's a win. I think it's running best it ever has. This park is so pretty. It has a really, really nice setting here in Pennsylvania, and it's completely dead. We're the only ones on the Midway right now. It's so nice. I think up next is Thunderhawk. I think it's celebrating its 100th anniversary, and I remember not really loving her, but we're gonna give it a shot. We're gonna celebrate her birthday. Yeah, 100th anniversary. That's awesome. Thunderhawk is up next. Thunderhawk complete, and for a 100-year-old coaster, I know it's been refurbed and remodeled a little bit, reprofiled, the layout has been adjusted, but it's running so well. We rode in the front seat. The one thing to mention is, you guys know, if you haven't watched my videos, then you don't know, but if you do know, I'm 6'5". Those trains are really tiny. There's not a lot of leg room in them. So best advice is to cross your ankles and then pull the lap bar down. That'll give you a little bit more leg room, especially in the knees, because my knees were definitely into the little like thing that you hold on to. That was not pleasant. But overall, it's like fairly smooth and decent. A couple good pops of airtime going into the different elements. A few trims that I think are much needed throughout the course because it was running a little crazy and borderline a little painful. But overall, it's a fun little coaster, and I like that they're celebrating the history of Thunderhawk in the park this year. All right, controversial time to get in the comments. Is Demon Drop a roller coaster? Is this a credit? I want to know your thoughts. Discuss in the comments below. Demon Drop was absolutely demonic. That was dreadful, terrible. Oh my God, that thing, it's just crazy. I remember when this was at Cedar Point growing up, my brother and I, we used to ride this literally all night long at the end of the night while my parents would eat an elephant ear. I don't know how I did it. You're like just literally in a metal cage, just dropped about a metal tube and thrown on your back. It's not the moment. She's just not running like she used to, I don't think. Or I was just a crazy kid, I don't know. Anyway, I need some water after that. And maybe a B&M, some smooth B&M, because she was crazy. Took a spin on Hydra, the park's B&M floorless coaster, and she was not it for me today. I don't know if it's the heat and I'm just feeling really sensitive to things, but that really didn't have like a rattle for me. It had like a straight bounce. I rode in row 1 on the left side, so maybe that had something to do with it, but she was really jolty the entire way through, gave me a little bit of a headache, not for me, did not love her. I do appreciate it has a very unique layout for a floorless coaster. I love the JoJo Siwa roll out of the station. I think that is fantastic. I was hanging out of my seat, some great hang time. And then I don't think it's a Cobra roll, I think it's a Sea Serpent roll. Had some really good force to it, really enjoyed that. Other than that, I think that's gonna be a one and done for me because she was just far too shuffly for me today. Certified rattly disaster. Had a little bit of a chill out in some air conditioning and had some Dippin' Dots, another Six Flags-ism of the day. So at the first restaurant, we couldn't get a fork. They gave us the Dippin' Dots and he was like, oh, I don't have spoons, you'll have to go find some. So then we went to the restaurant next door and they're like, oh, we only have forks and knives. So we had to go into Planet Snoopy with our like half melted Dippin' Dots at this point and get a spoon. That was silly. On to Talon, the park's B&M inverted coaster. Finished up on Talon, and Talon has to be one of my favorite inverted coasters. I love the inverted coasters that don't have a mid-course brake run because they just run so intense from beginning to end without ever letting up. The vertical loop was super forceful, the zero-G roll was nice and floaty, good pull through the Immelman, and then the flat spin offered a really good amount of whip. During like one of the turns though, my foot definitely whacked a tree, and not just like brushed a tree or like gracefully touched it. I mean like full on up to my ankle, whacked a tree branch. So they might need to do some clearance on that because that was a little silly goofy moment. All right, it is a little in the afternoon now, a couple hours later. We're gonna do a couple of our favorite attractions, so Possessed and Iron Menace for sure. Maybe one more, we're not really sure. It's really hot. The vibes are on fire today. That's how hot they are. So definitely doing a ride on Possessed and Iron Menace, and we may just call it a day because there are some storms also moving in, and we wanna get to the hotel before those storms move in. Did a couple more rides on Iron Menace, and many of my thoughts stay the same. I think it's a fantastic fit for the park. I think it fits in really nicely. I love the theming. They did a really, really good job. I have like two like points of criticism. One, on the outside seats, how is it so rough already for such a new coaster? I think it is so silly. It's very bouncy, very rattly. I'm just so surprised because it is literally brand new. It's only been operating for like 2 months at this point. And then my second point of criticism is that kink at the end is actually crazy. Like my neck it gets thrown from side to side, and that has to be looked at because you can actually hear people say like scream, like not scream. They exclaim in pain. It is just very uncomfortable. So I really do hope that perhaps they can look at that in the off season and fix it and maybe reshape the track at the end because man, that is really uncomfortable. What a fun day here at Dorney. We ended up spending about 7 hours here in the park from open until around 5 p.m. and it's been such a great time. Most of the rides, if not all of them, have been walk-ons. We've really enjoyed being able to get as many re-rides as possible on Iron Menace and Possessed, Hydra, Talon, and Steel Force. I think that is my favorite coaster here at the park. Steel Force is running absolutely phenomenal this year. The airtime is great, the forces are great, the speed during the turnaround is absolutely amazing. There are definitely a few goofy, silly moments like the lack of silverware at lunch and no spoons at the Dippin' Dot stand, but other than that, the park is absolutely stunning. It's beautiful. The staff have been really, really kind. Everyone's been really helpful. And even though we've been under a heat index warning, everyone is working as quickly as possible to get the trains out, even with the lines being basically a walk-on. And they are also running 2 trains on all the rides, even though it is so slow, which I think is great. I do think that the park will pick up a little bit. They're open until 10 p.m. tonight and have some fireworks, so I think some locals will probably come in. The water park will close, so I do think that they'll get a little busier this afternoon. But for us, we're feeling satisfied. We're feeling good with our visit here at Dorney Park, so we're going to call it a day and make our way to West Mifflin, Pennsylvania, where we'll be checking out Kennywood tomorrow. So today was day 7 of 22. Tomorrow is Kennywood. Ooh, it's starting to rain, which is why we are on our way out. I think things are starting to close down for the weather. So yeah, subscribe if you guys want to see more coaster content like this, like us at Kennywood tomorrow. Then we have a couple days at Cedar Point, Kings Island, some very exciting parks coming up. Like to help fight that YouTube algorithm. Keep cruising and coasting. I'll see you guys at Kennywood. Bye. Enjoyable up into an Immelman, and then my favorite part. It's so loud. Calm down. For lunch, we are going to come to the Iron Milk. Excuse me, I'm trying to film. Up next is going to be the park's Morgan